Hello and welcome back. This is the Clay Golem. This is Foundry VTT, and this, for one of the last times, is Curse of Strahd. I wanted to talk to you about what happens next. As you know, I left the last video, Curse of Strahd is complete, and I was talking about a version 13 version of it. That's ready. Almost close, really close. And it will be within the next week. It will be out there, but I wanted to talk specifically about the version 13 version because I've repackaged the whole thing, which has been an absolute nightmare. So a bit of feedback from people is the module was getting more and more bloated for several reasons. One, me being inefficient, having duplications, not resizing images as much as I should do, and basically being a bit lazy and focusing on building and not on the packaging side of it as much as I should. So I've changed all that. And to celebrate the fact that we have very, very close to a proper finished version, we'll be having a competition. So if you want to win a copy of the PHB, the DMG, or the Monster Manual for Foundry, stay tuned, keep listening. So what have I done? So I've rebuilt the whole thing in version 13 in a completely new module because it was totally... it was so much easier to just build it in a new module correctly than it was to try and undo and fix, if you like, the structure of the old module. Okay, so this is the one that will be, and don't worry, I will let you know, this will be the one that you will moving forward want to use. Now, if you are sitting there having a panic straight away going, hang on a minute, I've got the old version, what do I do? Don't worry. I am going to, alongside the formal release, I'm going to do a probably one big long video taking you through each of the acts of how you should run it. So how I set up a scene, what buttons do, and things like that. Just if you are interested, you can jump to a particular act in that video, have a look and go, ah, right, that's why you've done it that way. And of course, once you've got the pack, you can change anything you like. But let's talk about this pack. So on the right hand side, you'll be very familiar. So the new one's called Curse of Strahd, surprise, surprise. This is all very, very similar. It's all in the same acts as per Dragna Carter's Reloaded. And of course, I have been through and made changes in line with Dragna Carter's finalized version of it as well, because that has changed a few times in the building. When it comes to actors, I have broken them down slightly differently. You now have your key NPCs for the whole module are all in one folder together. So these are people like Victor, like Erwin, that are potentially going to arrive in random extra scenes. They might come with the party for something. You might want kind of quicker access to them. So I've popped those there so they're a bit easier for you to find as and when you need them. All of the monsters throughout the whole thing are in one folder. So we've got no duplication of monsters. We haven't got duplication of their icons and things like that. Obviously alphabetical order. So any monster within it you can find. Now with regard to monsters, I have updated every monster to be the version 13 2024 rules from the monster manual. So if you do not have the digital monster manual, your standard monsters like, great, I can't find one, like phase spiders, you might find that you don't have the artwork icon for them. You might want to change them out for the SRD versions or find your own artwork, etc. If you've got the monster manual, it will just be fine. So I have added the monster manual as a recommended but not required module for part of this, because it will bring those in for you, lovely jubbly. Now with anything like Piddlewick the Second, the Root Spike Triad, Rose Durst, etc. For those ones that are not monster manual kind of creatures, they are specific to this module. All the artwork's included for those, along with their stat blocks and everything else. You don't need to worry about those. It's only standard monsters, again, the Shadow, Shield Guardian, Skeleton, for example, that you would need to swap out. But anyway, competition, monster manual, come back to it. I'm going to keep saying it, right? So all of those are in one place, nice and easy. And same with NPCs. So there's a folder for all your NPCs there. Now, of course, some NPCs are potentially, you potentially fight them and things like that. But basically, if they're a humanoid city dweller, they're going to be in this folder. You'll find them. They're all on the scenes for the scenes you need them, but obviously sometimes weird things happen depending on what your players do, and you might want to change them out and etc. They're all here, and of course, because they're all in one place now, if you want to update the artwork for a particular token, you only need to update it once. You don't need to go through and go, oh yeah, but they appear in Act 4 and Act 7 and I got my acts the wrong way around, but there we go. You know what I mean. They appear in lots of different scenes. You don't need to go through and do it all in one place now. Much more efficient. And when it comes to Strahd's forces, again, a folder with all of them in one place. So Anastasia is only found in this folder. And where we've got different forms for them, as you can see, Anastasia's got her first form and her second form. They're both in here. And with all of these, not only have they been updated, but where they've got there, for example, her skin change, that is now actually working. So if you click that, it will actually give you the ability to transform that token automatically into the second form. So we did a video about swapping them out, and we used, was it Token Flip? We looked at using Portal to do a little macro to change them out and stuff like that. We don't need to do any of that anymore. All of these have that built in. So where you've got Rayadin, he's got his amber touched, he's got his different versions there. He will convert between the two of them. Same with his Chamberlain versus Kingslayer. Again, he will switch between the two of them, and Strahd will go between the mage to the soldier to the vampire as combats go on. Now, one of the things that he did update is the fact that when they first meet Valenta Popovsky, she has a first form and a second form. When they meet her later on, she has a different first form and second form. So she actually has 4 forms. So first form will transform into second form, and then the alchemist will transform into effectively the 4th form. So they're all there, nice and neat, everything you need, lovely jubbly. The reason why I've not released this just yet is because I haven't finished doing all the items yet. I need to redo all of those. Again, redoing all of that artwork. You can see that I've done Act 1. I've got to work on all the others. So I need to make sure all of those items, standard PHB stuff, you find a longsword, I probably won't bother with because, you've got it. But, I've got some, the fire wine bottles for throwing, treasure like the ivory hairbrush that they find and stuff like that. That's not straight out the PHB, straight out the DMG. I am putting those in for you, creating things like silver crossbow bolts for when they find them, etc. Okay, so they're all going to be in there. They're all ready to go. Now, when it comes to the journal, of course, we have got the journal that we've had pretty much from the beginning. So that's all relinked and everything else. So that all should be fine. What I'm going to be doing with this module is I'm going to be installing it on my server. So I've built this on my PC, create the module. I can then import it to my server, which gives me a much better way of testing to see what I've missed. Just reset that. To see anything that I have missed and be able to pick up where I've missed my own icon. So I've got to go through the whole of that process still, just to make sure I've not missed anything and create those items. So it's going to be perhaps another week before this comes out. Now, when it comes to the way that I've packaged this version of it, you've got your Act 0. That contains your core resources and the introduction. So just clicking on that, that brings in all of your actors. So there's 212 actors for this. That's your NPCs, that's your monsters, that's Strahd's forces, and those major NPCs you're going to encounter. It will also bring in all of the items, your journal, the intro scenes, and all of those. So that will bring that all in as one hit. So regardless of what you need to actually import in scene wise, you'll be able to get rid of scenes you're not using, but it won't lose all your items and stuff like that. They'll all be brought in separately for you. What that means is that when we look at any of these scenes like Into the Mists, etc., if we look at Into the Valley, this only has the scenes in it. okay, because the scenes are the bulky part. They're the ones with the bigger images and everything else like that. So from a server point of view, from a uploading scenes point of view and stuff like that, it just makes it much more efficient for you running the game itself. The original Curse of Strahd module, that is obviously still available, and it's 98% there. It's got a few little bugs in it that few people have reported. The big thing is people have reported a couple of issues, like trying to install it on Forge, because it's sitting at about 1.9 gig, which is ridiculously enormous. This new package is about 500 meg, so it's significantly smaller. It's much more efficient for loading scenes, so your party won't have to sit around waiting for a few seconds or even longer for a scene to load. It'll be much more efficient. It will be much easier to install on your Molten server without taking up all your space, and Forge and things like that as well. And if you are running it from home and your internet connection isn't brilliant, again, because the players will be loading from your machine, it will be much more efficient for them. Some of the scenes, like Castle Ravenloft, they're big maps. And they were taking absolutely ages. Now, what's the downside of that? Well, the downside of that is that I've made those maps an awful lot more, no, not an awful lot. I've made them smaller and I've made them an awful lot more efficient, but we have lost some of those maps, some of those beautiful maps. We've lost a bit of clarity because we've downgraded the quality. Now, here's an example. Yeah, it's not as crisp as it was, but to be honest, how often are you zoomed in this close? And even if you are, it's fine. So I think I've managed to get it pretty good of the smallest file size that we can get away with without losing the maps, the beautifulness of the maps. There's a couple, I think the Blue Water Inn was one that's you can see it's not as crisp, but again, are they going to be zoomed in much more than this? Probably not. I don't think so. But we only have one version of the Blue Water map now. I did have 6 different versions of the Blue Water map, I think, when I went through the folder, and it's like, what the heck have I done? I've just made a huge mess of it. So that's why it was really important to clean it all up and kind of start again. So that pack will be out very shortly. Obviously, I will announce it. But competition time. Right. So I am giving away 3 copies of the digital book to celebrate the end of this incredibly long journey. The reason I'm telling about it now, because you have a chance to kind of effectively enter. I will be giving away 1 copy of the Monster Manual to anybody who is a member of either a free member of Patreon, or a follower of Dritz, or a friend of Minsk and Boo. So anybody who is a patron supporter, regardless of tier, will go into a random draw to win a copy of the digital Monster Manual. I will also be giving a copy of either the Monster Manual PHB or DMG to anybody who is, when I do the vote next week, when I do the picking next weekend, anybody who's a friend of Minsk and Boo, you will have you'll be in that particular draw, and I'll be putting a vote on Patreon for you to vote for which of those books that you want. Okay, so Monster Manual open to all 3 people. Friends of Minsk and Boo, you get to vote on which book you would like. Now, obviously, that's a much smaller pool of people. So if you are a friend of Minsk and Boo, you've got a much higher chance of winning that. And the 3rd book, again, if you are a follower of Dritz, which again is a smaller pool of people, so your chances are much higher, I will be giving away that 3rd book, and I will be putting a vote again on Patreon. For those on the Discord, I will make sure that you have access to that vote as well. So that you can choose which of those books is going to be most useful to you. Now, if you're thinking about, oh, brilliant, because that will be really helpful for running Curse of Strahd, Monster Manual is the one that is going to help you the most. If you don't have any of the books, the Monster Manual will be the easiest. But some people have already got 1 or 2 or 3 of those books. So for those people who are members, you can vote for which one you want. Does that make sense? giving away 3 books the higher you are as a membership tier. So if you are, for example, if you're a follower of Drizzt, you get a relatively small group that you might win in, but you're also included in the vote for the Minsk and Boo lot, and you're also included in the overall pick for the other one. So while it's incredibly unlikely, if you're a follower of Drizzt, you get 3 chances to win a book. Incredibly unlikely, in theory, you could win all 3. I'm not sure that would happen. I'm win the lottery time, eh? The chances are really, really small. Hope that makes it clear. So I'm going to, in the description of this video, I will put a link to my Patreon. It's already in there, actually. So if you're not a member of the Patreon, you want to go and join, just join for free. Absolutely fine if you want to be included in that. And of course, if you are a friend of Minsk and Boo or a follower of Drizzt by the time that I do the picking next week, then of course you'll have access to those polls and you'll be able to say which one you want. If you don't respond to the poll, I'll assume you do not want to be in the competition. So that's for those members, friends of Minsk and Boo and the followers of Drizzt. Okay, hope that's clear. But those followers of Drizzt that were also on the Patreon, also on Discord, I will make sure I point you at that as well, give you that opportunity. So we're very, very nearly there with a final, in inverted commas, version of Curse of Strahd. That is version 13 compatible, 2024 rules compatible, all ready to go. Bosh, job done. I can take a break because I've been doing Curse of Strahd for about a year. It feels a lot longer. And I can put that to bed and I can move on to something else. And one of the things I want to move on to is getting back to doing some of those more regular videos on other things, because this has really taken an awful lot of time to do this. And if you remember when we started, the reason why is I was building it for my group that is currently running it and any future groups I choose to run it with. And if I'm putting all that time and effort in, I might as well package it and give it to you guys if you want to use it, to save you all of those hours and hours of prep. You can focus on prepping the adventure, not prepping Foundry. So I know you guys appreciate it, because I get some excellent and lovely messages from you guys about this. But again, even if there's just bits of the pack you want to use for other purposes, you might have a completely different adventure that you want to base in Ravenloft. Brilliant. Well, you've got all the scenes, you've got all the locations. Knock yourself out. Brilliant. Go ahead and do that. And it's very, very tempting to write more adventures in Ravenloft purely because it's all there. I just need to create some more characters and, you know, and put the actual story together to use all the locations that are already there. All right, once again, babbling. So quite a short video, quite exciting though. You know, competition. Go get yourself a book. And I will see you, well, for those of you joining on the live stream, I will see you in a while by the time this video goes out. And those I don't see on the live stream, I will see you in the next video. We need to get back to looking at building some items. We need to look at a couple of modules and things like that. So we'll be back to our normal viewing relatively soon, I promise. Take care. Thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you soon.